Alex of thewindowcleaner.com here. This video is all about brushes. We got brushes. Single trim, dual trim, single jetted, dual pencil, pencil and fan, boar's hair, hybrid. Let's take a look at all these brushes. Here's an example of a single trim brush. Both these are single trim. What I mean by single trim is all the bristles are the same length. There's none that stick out farther. There's none that are recessed. Single trim brushes right here. This is a great example, by the way, of a very densely packed brush. The more bristles, the more scrubbing power. As we move down the line here, this is an Unger brush. It's a dual trim brush. So you'll notice the inner bristles are a bit shorter than the outer bristles. These outer bristles are also a lot longer. So every brush has advantages, disadvantages. This is these extra long bristles, great for getting in corners, even French pane corners. Awesome brush right there. Next, this is another example of a dual trim brush. Single jetted, meaning it has two jets, one set of jets, dual trim. The reason for dual trim is so when you press the brush on the glass, if these bristles happen to splay out a little too far, you have these shorter bristles on the interior there that are still making contact with the end of the bristle on the glass, because that's the effective edge of a nylon brush. This one right in front of me here is another example of a dual trim. This is the Tucker brush, the new style Tucker brush. This is kind of the original Waterfed pole brush, about 60 years in the making. And this is another dual trim brush, just slightly different style, a little bit longer, two sets of pencil jets in here. If you come back and take a look at this Tucker brush, this is what we call dual jetted. You have bristles, jets on the outside, jets a little closer to the inside. This brush is a little bit different in that these jets on the outside are pencil jets, meaning water comes out in two streams, totally straight. The inner jets here are fan jets. You can see from the front of the brush, hopefully, the difference in there. Fan jets, the jet itself will have like a little slit in it, which compresses the water down, makes it fan spray out. This one here has dual pencil jets, really just giving you more flow. So you have 4 streams of water coming out of the brush. So we talked about nylon brushes, dual trim brushes. Next we have some brushes. One is a hybrid, one is all boar's hair. Boar's hair is a more aggressive fiber than nylon. With nylon, like we mentioned before, the effective scrubbing edge is the very tip of the bristle. So mashing the brush on the glass, pushing really hard with a nylon brush doesn't get you any better of a clean. But boar's hair, the entire fiber is an effective edge. So you can press a little harder on the glass. Boar's hair has its advantages and disadvantages. Advantage is it's a little bit more of an aggressive fiber, so it'll give you a better clean. The downside to boar's hair is it's a little bit heavier. You feel the drag on the glass because it's more aggressive. So that kind of limits you to maybe working about 35 feet with it effectively. And rinsing through the boar's hair bristles is not recommended. You should get that off the glass while you're rinsing. That way there's no dirt trapped in the fibers or anything like that. This is the Constructor Brush. Pretty unique brush, really nothing like this brush before or since. And it happens to be an all boar's hair model. Extremely aggressive. There are a number of videos out there on the Constructor Brush showing you what it can do, how customizable it is. Here's a version of it, one of the earlier versions of the Constructor Brush, all nylon. And you can see some of the bristles are a bit longer, some are a bit shorter. Now talking about the Constructor Brush brings us back to jets and the different style. It's not just pencil, it's not just fan. The Constructor Brush has incorporated a rinse bar, essentially, over the top here. So you'll have water coming out of all these jets along the top, and you can also plumb it to come through the center as well. This does allow for maximum rinsing, and it really allows you to keep the brush on the glass the whole time as you work your way to the bottom. Rinsing and sheeting the water and impurities off in a great way. This is a Wagtail. This one might actually be a prototype of the Jetstream, which was kind of the same concept of the Constructor in the rinse bar department. Again, it's a little crude because this probably was a prototype that we got, but these were great for curtain glass. You know, there's not bristles, it's a microfiber pad. It's pretty aggressive microfiber, work great on just curtain glass, great rinse on there. Between Wagtail and Reach It, they came out with some pretty ingenious angle adapter, gooseneck, pivot tools. The Wagtail uses the basic Wagtail handle with a clamp to give you a back and forth motion when you're cleaning on the glass. It's really been perfected with the side to side here. This will attach to a Waterfed pole and allow you to pivot the brush like a squeegee would go down a window side to side. So pretty ingenious. Pretty ingenious. So this is a good overview of what we've got. We have single trim, a handful of dual trim brushes. We have pencil jetted brushes, pencil and fan jetted brushes, nylon, boar's hair, hybrid, and we have swivel angle adapters. This is pretty much everything Waterfed pole brushes covered in one good video. So stay tuned, we'll get a little bit deeper.